Greetings and welcome back to my channel. This is a video about retrograde season 2022. It is the fourth in a series of 5 videos about the big planets, outer planets, and how they are affecting us and how they are moving through their cycles. And the first one was Pluto, then there was Neptune, then there was Saturn. If you haven't had a chance to watch those other videos, I would suggest you at least go and watch the Pluto one, because it lays the groundwork for this series more than I'm going to do today. So you can go ahead and check that out when you're ready. As I got into researching this topic, I realized that it's much more complicated and actually more interesting than I had originally thought. And so in these videos, I'm not just looking at the retrograde cycle in 2022, I'm looking at the entire cycle, anywhere from 9 or 10 months all the way up to 26 months of when a planet first goes into a gate and then retrogrades, and maybe goes in retrogrades all the way back into another gate and then comes forward and then goes all the way through. So I explain all of that in each of these videos, and it's a very interesting way to understand kind of the long-term influence on those outer planets on us. And today we're going to talk about Uranus. As one of the outer planets, Uranus has a really long cycle. It takes 84 Earth years for it to complete its way, going all the way through the zodiac, going all the way around the sun. Because of this long, slow motion, as it were, in relation to what we see anyway, it's more of a generational influence than a personal influence. Although we do experience these things personally, it really influences the collective, and it can influence us for a significant period of time. And that's why it's more generational than personal. So Uranus, what are the qualities of Uranus? Well, in astrology, we think of Uranus as being kind of the unexpected, the sudden, right? But it's also this disruptor, right? It's a disruptive energy. It comes in, yes, unexpectedly, often suddenly, and it disrupts our patterns, our habits, and the status quo, as I said, because it is more collective in terms of its influence. So it disrupts things, it shakes things up, it's surprising, but it also brings in innovation and revolution and liberation. It opens things up, disrupts things, not just for the sake of, breaking things apart, but so that we can have a breakthrough, and so that we can move out of our comfort zones. Now, when you take a look at these cards from the tarot deck, these might be familiar to you. If you have your own tarot deck, you'll have your own tower card. And the tower card, I think, is very Uranian, right? Because it is this picture always of this tower that is being hit by lightning, right? It's the sudden, unexpected disruption, and often there's a person leaping out of the tower as it's crashing down. Now, the tower makes it seem like it's just disruptive, right? It's just destructive, not just disruptive, it's destructive. And yet, Uranus is not just destructive. It is more about how do we open ourselves up so that we can let go of the patterning and the conditioning that we have from the overculture, so that we can get in touch with what is unique about us, what is different about us, what is wild and undomesticated in us, what's unpredictable, right? What's unusual. And in traditional human design and quantum human design, we think of Uranus as what you're here to be different, where you are different from other people. In that sense, it's kind of like individual circuitry, right? And that it is what is different about us. So you can go and take a look at your own human design chart and see where Uranus is in your chart and see where you're here to be different. Uranus is definitely an energy that is here to push us out of our comfort zone, right? And according to astrology.com, it says that Uranus really pushes us somewhere between order and abject chaos. But it's in that zone between this order and this chaos that genius and creativity thrive, which I think is fascinating for us to be thinking about. So Uranus is here for innovation. It's not just here to destroy things, right? It's for the breakdown so that we can have the breakthrough. I think of this as kind of like the gate 51, which is actually centering in the centering circuit, but it is individual circuitry, which is the gate of shock in traditional human design, or the gate of initiation in quantum human design, which is often disruptive, right? And it can be shocking, and Uranus can be shocking, right? But it is there for us to awaken us to the truth of who we are, but also the truth of who we are collectively as a humanity and as an aspect of the divine, right? Because we are individual expressions of divine source energy. We are also expressing the genius of Gaia because our physical form is of the earth, right? We're sacks of water with minerals in them that are always constantly relating to the oceans and the bodies of water on the planet and to the minerals. Our bones are connected to the minerals and the mountains of the earth, the mineral kingdom. And so we are expressions of all of that. And yet our conditioning and our programming has led us away from these truths about who we are into thinking that we are these computers and that we should live in our brains and that our left brain is the only way to understand anything, right? These are really pretty outdated ways of understanding things that need to be disrupted so that we can have something new come in. I also kind of associate this with Kali energy. Here's an image of Kali. If you're familiar with her, she is an aspect of the divine feminine. She is the fierce aspect of the divine feminine. You can see her here cutting off the head of the ego. She's got skulls all coming around her neck, right? Because she's cutting off these kind of egoic attachments that we have, the ways that we inflate ourselves and that we see ourselves as the center of reality rather than seeing ourselves as a center of consciousness within the whole universe and within the one life, right? And she stands on the head of Shiva saying that we need to cut through really the ways that we've been programmed so that we can liberate ourselves. And she really is a great liberator. She's a liberator, but she's also kind of scary, right? And so Uranus can be kind of scary too, because when we have these things, they often come at the most inopportune times, you know, these Uranian moments where something happens and you're like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Something, you know, the ground drops out from underneath you, or something new comes in that disrupts everything. So you want to be leaning into what is the benefit that Uranus can provide you with, looking in your own human design chart. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not going to say anything about the astrological aspect of that, but you can go and talk to your astrologer or research that online to find out what that means in your astrology chart. But we want to make friends with this energy as much as possible so that when these Uranian moments come in, we're able to utilize them for a breakthrough, for our liberation, and embrace the notion that we have to move outside of our comfort zones. We have to let go of the ruts that we're used to being in, all of our creature comforts, so that we can actually shine our light even more brightly and we can become more and more of our true selves. As we look at just the retrograde part of Uranus's cycle, you'll see that Uranus goes retrograde in the gate 23 on August 25th. This is the gate of assimilation in traditional human design and the gate of transmission in quantum human design. We'll dive into that more in a moment. Then it retrogrades back into the gate 2 on September 4th, which is the gate of the keeper of the keys in traditional human design, or the gate of allowing moving in quantum human design. And then on January 23rd, all the way next year, 2023, it's going to go direct in the gate 2. So this is a 5-month cycle, right? Where it's just in its retrograde period. And it always has a 4 to 5 month retrograde period every year. So if we step back and we look at the entire cycle, we're looking at when is Uranus in the gate 2 and the gate 23. And what we discover is that there's a 26-month cycle of when it is in the 2 and the 3. It is going to be more in the gate 2 in 2022, and it's going to be more in the gate 23 in 2023. So it enters the gate 2 first back in April 8th of this year. Then going forward, it moved into the gate 23 on August 14th of this year. But then on the 25th, it's going to start retrograding back through that 23, and then it's going to retrograde all the way back into the gate 2 on September 4th. Finally, it's going to turn around and go direct on January 23rd, 2023. So it's going direct through the gate 2 until it hits the gate 23 again on May 9th of 2023. Then it's going to retrograde back on August 29th of 2023. And then in January 27th, 2024, it's going to turn around and go back again direct through the 23 until it pops out of the gate 23 on June 7th of 2024. So you can see there's a long cycle here where Uranus is really lighting up the themes of the gate 2 and the gate 23. So both of these gates are in the knowing circuit. Okay, the knowing circuit is individual circuitry, so it's kind of Uranian. It's here to bring different, it's here to bring change, it doesn't fit in. It's definitely here for our liberation. It is evolutionary. It is here to be helping us to be moving into our next phase of our evolutionary cycle. And the knowing circuit is highly intuitive. You receive downloads through the knowing circuit, and it's also this place where you just know things. You don't know how you know them. You didn't learn them anywhere. You didn't read them in a book or learn them in a class. Nobody told you about them. There's just this deep sense of knowing that you have in the knowing circuit. So it's not rational, not reasonable, not logical, not linear at all. And so with the 2 and the 23, both of them, they are receiving this kind of information that's coming in through the knowing circuit, and it's filtering through it to some degree to decide which of this mutative energy is really going to be helpful. Okay, let's dive more into the gate 2. So the gate 2 is here on the G center. The G center is what we think of as heart energy. It's the place of love, lovability, identity, and direction. So it is a very vibrant love energy. It's radiant, it's magnetic, it's receptive. It's very evolutionary and intuitive. And it is the location, the 2 is the location of the magnetic monopole. So in the mythology of human design, the magnetic monopole is what it sounds like. It's a magnet with one pole that just attracts. It's an attractive force. And so it's what brings things into our life. And this 2 really likes positive things coming in. It likes money. It likes resources. It likes opportunities. It likes good people. It likes, wonderful environments. It likes all of those things that are really uplifting, that are going to help the heart to expand, that are going to support the identity and our direction in life. And it is mated with the gate 14, which is sacral energy. So there's energy coming up from the sacral through the gate 14, really fueling the heart, coming up through that magnetic monopole. And the 14 is really attractive to money and to resources and to opportunity. It's not focused on that. It's focused on the service that it provides. But as it provides service, it's actually bringing that in, and then it channels it up into the 2. The gate 23, on the other hand, is up here on the throat center. So it's an activating energy. In traditional human design, it's called assimilation. In quantum human design, it's called transmission. And so this is a place where it's mated with the 43, which is known as the genius freak gate. And it's called that not because the information that comes through the knowing circuit is freaky or genius necessarily. It's more about how other people respond to the information that comes in. And so one of the things about expressing that energy that's coming in through that knowing circuit that 23 wants to express through that throat center is to make sure that we're doing it at the right time with the right people so that they are receptive to what it is that we want to share. The 23 is kind of sorting through what's of value of what's coming in through that 43, right? Also the 24, 61 that is connecting the head and the ajna, just coming right down through here. So it's sorting through what's of value, and it's differentiating between what either feels crazy or chaotic, or maybe things that are just not, it's not the right time to be expressing them. And it's asking the question, is this evolutionary or not? Are these powerful insights that can bring positive change or not? And so it's really kind of filtering through in that way. And when it has determined that, then it's like transmitting that energy out. If we circle back to Uranus really lighting up these gates for 26 months, we'll see that Uranus, as I said earlier, is the planet of the unexpected, of awakening, of disruption. And so definitely these gates are aligned with that in the sense that they are receiving awakening, potentially disruptive energy. Karen Curry Parker, who is my mentor and the creator of quantum human design, calls Uranus our faith teacher. And I interpret that to mean it is where we're here to be different. And I interpret that to mean that we have to have a certain amount of faith in order to believe in whatever it is that Uranus is bringing us. And we also have to have faith in whatever is coming to us through our knowing circuit, right? Because it's not something we can go out and fact check, for example, right? It's not that kind of a thing. It's much more about being able to tune into and having faith in our own intuition. A few questions to think about here, especially regarding Uranus in the 2, which is where Uranus is going to be mostly during this year, is how are you with allowing things into your life? How are you with allowing in resources of all kinds? So yes, it definitely needs money, but it means other kinds of resources as well, like support, people to support you, opportunities that can come into your life, allowing in the nurturing of the earth, for example, allowing in the nurturing of the sun, of the natural environment. There's so many different kinds of resources. And the question is, are you allowing those resources that are actually already here in? And are you being magnetic? Because again, this is the place of the magnetic monopole. Are you being magnetic to what you most desire? And are you being patient and tapping into kind of the deeper flow, what I call the flow of life, right? Which is this cosmic creative energy that is constantly moving through our solar system and through the universe, really, and supporting us. How much are you allowing that flow in to support you with what you're doing? And do you need to have a Uranian moment that really disrupts you so that you can start practicing this? Or can you start giving more attention to this now and not necessarily have to have that really dramatic Uranian moment where you get the rug pulled out underneath you so that you allow yourself to start allowing in the good that you really want? So this also reminds me of what I talked about in the Pluto video. And if you haven't seen the Pluto video, you might want to go and watch it here, because Pluto is transiting the 6061 and it's going to be here for a long time. Both of these gates are also in the knowing circuit. So they're also evolutionary, here to be different, here to bring change. Right now, Pluto's in the gate 60, which is all about sorting through mutations, determine what's of value, and then deciding what to discard, what to keep, what to discard. And there's a lot of debate about what's true. what are the standards or the criteria by which we determine what's true and what to believe? Because that's 61. Again, it's really not logical. And so we see this. I talked about this a lot in the Pluto video about the debates about fake news, conflict over what's true and what's not. And when we look at going beyond the specifics, the big question right now, it's up certainly here in the United States, but I think it's happening globally also, is whether or not democracy is a mutation worth keeping, or whether authoritarianism is a better political system. And you can see this happening among world leaders, right? But it's worth noting also, if we go back even deeper into our history, global history, which is that it's democracy in a different form preceded the authoritarianism that we've had for the last few thousand years. When we had more tribal peoples, they tended to operate more through community input, through consensus, definitely in a more democratic way. Oftentimes they had some kind of council of wise women, older women, who were making decisions for the group, but they also were taking input from all of the different people of the community. And so I just want to say I'm an advocate for democracy, but really more for a more decentralized democracy that would enable more of the people to be more engaged, to be more active than our current political system that we have here in the U.S., which I think is actually pretty broken. It's very complicated. We have 50 states, and the dynamic between the states and the nation, it's challenging, and we're really running head on to that right now. So back to Uranus. Uranus is adding fuel to this fire. Right at this moment, we're in the window of the 23. We're not going to be here very long, but that 23 is asking these same kind of questions that Pluto is asking, which is, how do we know what to believe? How are we sorting through what is arising? And we've been seeing a lot of unexpected, disruptive, ideally awakening situations rising up in the political realm right here in the U.S. And we're really reeling, I think, from recent developments in relation to the 45th president. Many different kinds of information are being revealed that's truly beyond what I think many of us thought was even possible. I mean, it began with the January 6th committee investigating that riot and the attempt to stop the counting of the votes, and going really into detail about that. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've seen top secret documents being taken away from the residence of the former president. They're so top secret they can't even be named publicly what they are. We're also seeing legal motions being taken against the 45th president because he's refused to release his tax returns. In the state of New York, he just recently took the Fifth Amendment 440 times which is basically saying I refuse to answer on the basis that it might incriminate me. And then just in the last day or two, we've been learning that there were computer experts that were engaged to tamper with voting machines in numerous states after the 2020 election. Now, many people are in shock about what is being revealed. And of course, some people are refuting this. They're saying none of this is true. They're debating what's really true. They're calling all of it fake news. They're saying that there's a witch hunt going against the former president. I personally do not believe that. I am one of those people who believes in the rule of law and believe that we have been working that way. But the point here is that all of this is very, very Uranian, right? It's sudden, it's disruptive. It's challenging for us, and it is asking us to really look at, what do we believe? What do we want to keep? What do we want to let go of? And right now, and I talked about this in the video about Saturn. So if you want to go and watch the Saturn video, you can check it out here. But Saturn right now is in the gate 49, which is emotional energy. And you can see emotions are running very, very high right now. And the gate 49 is the gate of revolution in relationships and in tribal communication and tribal relationships. And we're seeing this a lot. A lot is getting stirred up right now inside of communities. We're witnessing really a splintering of the Republican Party along tribal lines, the more kind of traditional conservative Republicans, and then those who are siding with the cult of personality is what I would call it around the 45th president, who really operates more with the shadow side of the gate 45, which is the dictator and the more authoritarian energy. And so we're seeing a splintering inside of that. We're also seeing different kinds of coalitions coming together outside of any kind of Republican Party, whether that's Democratic or independent, who are brought through some really incredible legislation through the different things that have been passed recently under the Biden administration. So this is definitely a revolution in relationships as well. So there's a lot here, right? Obviously, there's a lot. And my invitation to you is to be thinking for yourself, how is this affecting the communities that you're a part of, the tribes that you are a part of, the different things that you're involved in your own life. Because again, this is affecting the collective. So I mentioned this political stuff because it's very Uranian what's happening in the political sphere right now. We see this also happening in the economic sphere. It's happening in a lot of different places, but it's kind of really writ large in the political sphere here in the United States. So wherever you are, whatever it is that you're particularly interested in, I invite you to take the kind of the concepts that I've shared with you here and to see how it applies to the communities that you're a part of, where you live, communities that you're a part of that are online, and see for yourself what's getting disrupted, what's getting stirred up, what is being challenged in terms of what's knowable or not knowable. Where is intuition and new really kind of breakthrough ideas coming in? Are they being accepted and implemented? Are they being discarded because they don't fit, which is what individual circuitry is like? Are you an advocate for this new revolutionary, evolutionary energy? Does it make you uncomfortable? It could make you uncomfortable and you could be excited about it. It happens for me, right? Because we can have a lot of different feelings when we're looking at something that's really outside our comfort zone, which is where Uranus is pushing us to be. It's pushing us to recognize that the ways that we have done things in the past are no longer working and we need to break them apart. Remember that Tower card? I encourage you, my invitation to you is to find a quiet and still place inside of you so that you can actually receive, right? Because we're allowing in, that's the gate 2 is all about allowing in. You can receive this disruptive energy and you can digest it and decide how you want to harness it and then direct it for the betterment of your own life, for your family, for your beloveds, for your community, and how you can create visions and possibilities for our collective, and to be looking at where do you want to participate in creating the new as you are liberated from the old. Okay, there's a lot going on here, and I just encourage you to keep breathing. Talk to your friends about it and look for people who are open to the conversation and see what can arise out of that. Okay, many blessings, much love.